just like to give a very quick shout out to Patrick Davies, also known as Patman QC. Very fantastic content creator. Made some amazing videos, wonderful stuff. Followed his channel for quite a while now. Recently passed away. My thoughts go out to your family. May you rest in peace.
Welcome to Gaming on the Brain. I'm Mark.
I'm Glenn.
And in today's episode, we're going to be looking at 5 game creator games made for the Commodore 64 and published by Mastertronic. Now, for those who don't know, Game Creator was a game development tool made in 1984 by Mirrorsoft and coded by the Darling brothers, Richard and David. And now, if that name's familiar, as it should be, they were the two brothers who created the infamous Codemasters brand, and this still goes today, still going strong. Massive and brand, well loved by many, especially their racing games. F1.
Colin McRae,
amazing. As for Game Creator, the games were very primitive. However, the actual package itself did incorporate things like a sprite editor, music editor, background editor. So for a novice game designer, this was an absolute dream come true.
I thought as well, I mean, it was a great gateway in for, like you say, novice game designers and developers. And this would have been a start for people. And I mean, you're saying that the games are quite simple, and they generally are, but again, for the years that they came out, I mean, they're about what you would expect, you know, so 1984 plus to about 86, something like that, you know, 85. I mean, they do the trick, and the great thing is as well, all of these games were £1.99. I mean, what can you say to that?
Was it some that were £2.99 as well?
That was later. That was their later price point. If I remember right, Mastertronic did have a premium price point from about 86.
Premium budget price point.
Yeah, premium budget great, and they were £2.99. But by about 1988, they did move over to £2.99, obviously with inflation and that. So that by 88, though, the Game Creator games, which is not really a thing anyway. So I think a great little series of games where many are hit and miss. But to be fair, I think some more hit than miss, and those that are in between, like I say, playable for the price.
Well, today we're going to be looking at 5 of these Game Creator games that were released under the Mastertronic label. Also, Game Creator was released later on as Creations. Just thought I'd throw that in there, so it was re-released. Anyhow, grab a drink, sit back, relax, enjoy the video, and we'll see you at the other side for a breakdown.
Enjoy.
Bionic Granny, Glenn. Bless her knitted socks. Bionic Granny, when she's not baking cookies, she's dishing out concussions to unsuspecting children. Seriously, something snapped inside of this granny, and judging by how quickly she gets around on the screen, it's not a hip, mate.
I don't think it is, mate. No, Christ almighty. I've seen nothing like this. Now, when I first seen this game back in, 1985 or 6, maybe we got it a couple of years after it came out originally, I thought it was some sort of unofficial rip-off of Super Gran, but like where the Gran had actually turned evil. You know, maybe like half cross with the Terminator or something. I still can't get my head around what's going on when she dies.
No, something appears to explode out of her chest.
Doesn't it look a bit like a mask at some point, and it looks like a heart?
So she's almost like Splatterhouse, where it's like the mask
goes out.
It's a bit weird. Look, genre, Glenn, I can't even figure out what genre this game would sit in.
Whack 'em up genre, I don't know.
It's like it's a high score game, isn't it? That's the basics of it.
It's all there is to it, really. It's such there's only 2 controls, isn't it? Left and right.
Left, right, yeah, that's it. Literally left and right. However, the controls are sharp. I'll give it that.
Oh, it's smooth. Do you know what it is? It's not a great game at all. It's not a great game, but it gets so much hatred online. But again, as I always say, price point in that £1.99, and it works, and we had a little bit of fun with it, really. I mean, and it gets hard pretty quick, but there is a game there. It's just so basic, like, isn't it?
I mean, just take the graphics for example, Glenn. I mean, it makes stickmen look like Renaissance art. Well, I can only assume the artist, instead of using his fingers, was instead mashing the keyboard with potatoes or something.
I think it's perspective as well, and size. differences of things. I mean, you look at the size of the football pitch, I think, and is it a tennis court or a swimming pool?
It's like 1/10 of the size of Bionic Granny, isn't it?
No, it's like, that's a bit. Well, the school, I mean, how the hell did the kids come out of that, you know?
Sound.
The size of one of the outbuildings, I think.
Sound as well. I mean, sound probably is a good descriptor for it. It's just sound. I mean, there's not much else to it other than sound. In fact, I've only heard 2 sound effects in the whole game.
I know. It makes a different noise, unusual noise when the heart explodes, though.
True, yeah.
Complicated sound effect. Like.
Do you know what it is, though? I've actually heard better music on, like, Tiger handhelds.
It sounds like it could be used in a Tiger handheld, just a single tone and that. But I think that's just a little a feature, can't call it a feature or a bug, of all these creator games, isn't it? They have this.
It seems to be like
very
a
similar
single like channel melody or something.
The age again as well. I mean, I actually played Spy Hunter back in the day. That, as much as the music's good and catchy on the C64, that's very simple as well. It's not like you were getting from the SID chip like after, say, 1986, 87, where the music became fantastic, So that took a while for them to tap into the power of that, like, I think.
When they got there, it was fantastic.
Oh, Christ, Martin Galway.
So just the basic premise, you're moving around the bottom of the screen, trying to avoid the lollipop lady throwing lollipops at you. Yeah. If you're in the USA, that's basically just somebody who helps you cross the road.
Crossing guard?
A crossing guard, yes, essentially. And the idea is to thwack the children.
Just touching them in it, like. So.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Oh, tap in it, really. It is. It's got levels.
Challenge.
And they do get harder, so you're not going to play forever because the lollipops get faster. Did she get slow as well? Didn't she? Start move slow as the...
Honestly, I couldn't tell, Glenn.
Because everything was getting so fast. I mean, the kids were moving faster. Lollipop lady, crossing guard, was moving faster. So you wouldn't be playing, definitely, and probably wouldn't choose to anyway. But not a completely horrible game, because it did work. And as I say, it's more of a simple score attack, and a product of its time, I think, for its price point of £1.99. So.
I mean, look, for me, this game looks like it was coded during the power cut and play tested by someone's actual granny after a few really large cherries.
Which it might, or some gin, mother's ruin. So.
For me, 1 out of 5, mate.
2 out of 5 for me, because I said I always have to look at price point with this as well, and there's a playable game in there. It's not great, but it's not complete travesty either. That's my opinion anyway.
Too generous. Let us strap on a loincloth and step into the bare feet of Mowgli the man cub for the epic tale of immense proportions that is Jungle Story.
Not Jungle Book.
That's right, yes, confusingly. This one, I can't find any information out there for the developer, Glenn. I know you have a few suspicions on that.
Well, from what I'm hearing, what I've done a bit Googling about, I think it is actually the Darling brothers who would later go on to become the world-famous Codemasters, responsible for some classics.
We all know and love a lot of their games. Yeah. But what I will say, Mr. Mystery Developer, if you're out there and you want to share your story with us, then,
please
get in touch. Concept simple, Glenn. Think of Disney's The Jungle Book and the hero of that story, Mowgli. And then just stop there, because that's pretty much the only thing that it's got in common with the movie.
Oh, Christ. I've found a few odd things about this. I mean, anyone who's a fan of the classic Disney film, we all are, or even read the book, which, some have, would know that Mowgli actually makes friends with most of the animals. Isn't that true, mate?
Very true.
Very true, very true. There's only really like a few animals that they don't really get on with, and one of them being Shere Khan the tiger. And in this game, Jungle Story, not Jungle Book, remember, he's got several nemesis for some reason now, and only one of them is a tiger. And strangely enough, out of all the opponents that he fights, which include a monkey, a snake, I think snakes were bodies in the original film, so fair enough. But snake, monkey, elephant, tiger.
Tribal spears.
And spears. Nobody throwing them, so, we're not going there. Tigers are the only ones that he can actually hurt. And tigers are the only way you can actually progress in the game, which I thought was unusual. So it's a bizarre concept.
Why do you think the tiger might be, as the instructions put it, Mowgli's hated enemy? Well, see, I did some digging. I spent all of a few minutes, Glenn, looking into this, and apparently Shao Kahn or Shere Khan or
Shao Kahn.
That's probably why the tiger dislikes him, probably because he presumably keeps mispronouncing his name.
Yeah.
However, what I did find is that as a wee baby, the tiger did try to eat Mowgli. So that would pretty much cause an issue, and I reckon probably stop you being besties for life.
Yeah, there would be a bit of tension. I think a small amount of tension.
Definitely, yes, definitely. So
would definitely be.
That's why we assume or presume that Mowgli wants to kill the tiger, who also
and he does several times throughout each level for some reason, and keeps coming and keeps doing it again. So,
which actually brings us into the gameplay loop. So again, just like the story, the gameplay loop incredibly simple, budget if you will, but it is fairly addictive if you like to keep things simple.
It is, but do you not think as well? There's some elements of pitfall. I would say pit fighter. There's some elements of pitfall in there as well. I mean, without the jumps or any of the real excitement. I mean, but initially to look at as the game starts, you look and go, is it a pitfall rip off? But then it gets into what it gets into when you realise the true concept of it all. So
it looks like the idea is you've got to dispatch the tiger enough times
just
in
the
level,
tiger, remember,
and move on to the next level, which is basically exactly the same as the level previous.
Just faster.
I think the monkey might shit on you a bit faster.
I'm sure the coconuts, Martin. I'm sure the coconuts. I
think he's flinging poo at you. And they're called cheeky monkeys, so that's why he's throwing shit at you. Because, why not?
It would be worse than the coconut.
You mentioned the Atari 2600 in Pitfall there. I know you didn't mention the Atari, but when you look at this game, graphically, it looks like an Atari 2600 game.
It does, but again, I mean, coming to the game's defence a little bit, I've got to say, graphics and sound effects as well are pretty poor, but for £1.99, and I have to say that I've had a little bit of fun with this game. Just a confession. It's what I'd consider a game in the barest sense, as it's playable. So that in itself is a compliment for something so cheap, I think, personally, in my own head. It's not like, it's not a game you put on and you literally turn off because it's just so unplayable. It's a grind to actually control the characters and that. We had a bit of fun.
But speaking of controls, I mean, the controls are, fairly sharp. One could say they're as sharp as Shere Khan's claws.
Which are that sharp because we never actually killed it. I don't think we ever got killed by the tiger, We killed every one of them.
You can die by it hitting its body, if that's...
I don't think I ever got killed by it.
Yeah, I think I died that way at one point. But yeah, the controls are sharp. You can move in all four directions and you can throw pots of fire at the tiger.
They do what they're meant to do, yeah. Not as sharp as some other games using the game creator personally, but they're serviceable and they did the trick, I think. So not terrible at all.
To sum this one up, it works as intended. It's simple. It's got budget written all over it. You'll find 30 minutes of enjoyment here.
Yeah.
Well, mild enjoyment here, but I don't think you'll come back to it after that. I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5.
And that's fair, I think. I'll also give it a 2 out of 5. And my reasons for giving this game that score is I love talking about the past, and I have to mention that back in the mid 80s when I'd be grabbing a game for the Commodore 64 VIC-20 at the time, even.
Yeah.
We would spend $1.99 and we would play that game for half an hour to maybe an hour tops. And like you say, you wouldn't play it again, so it would either go back in the cupboard or elsewhere. And you felt you got your money's worth for what it was. So you can never apply what we have now and what we play with more up-to-date games. You can't apply that to the old stuff, So 2 out of 5, I think is fair. It's fair for what it is.
2 out of 5 across the board.
Mm-hmm. So, Pigs in Space. What a game, mate. I tell you now, first things first, this game isn't a completely unique creation. It's actually an unofficial conversion of Stern's 1982 arcade coin-op game Pooyan. I think we're saying it right. And it is literally about pigs in space, so if you've seen the type of Pooyan, you probably wouldn't know what the hell that meant. But Pigs in Space definitely works a lot better. It's quite a simple and interesting little shooter as well, isn't it? It's different from like Space Invaders, Galaxian or anything else we've seen before. It's got a couple of unusual little elements to it. it was, I really enjoyed. So,
I think, I mean, it's a simple thing to look at, but essentially what you're doing, you've got your helicopter pilots and your balloon pilots coming down the screen.
Yeah.
You're kind of on like a rope lift, essentially.
Can't work out if they're not pigs.
It's like camels or something. But the idea is to shoot them. If they come down to the ground, they will come towards you, and then they'll travel up the rope elevator to kill you. So if you let one get to the elevator, you're dead. But then after during the wave, you'll kill a certain amount of enemies, and then you've got to rescue Little Pig, who's at the bottom left corner of the screen. And then when you rescue him, you complete the level and you get a big boost to your score. Well, so again, it's just another basic high score game, but it's a fun one.
It's got a couple of it's even though the game level always seems to stay the same. There's no different levels. It just did they even get really harder. But there's a couple of processes to completing the level which we liked. We thought that the idea was you just basically have to try and. Well, at first we thought you just shoot all the pigs. We didn't even notice there was a little piglet in the bottom left corner. Mm-hmm. So I shoot all the not pigs coming down the screen. Shoot all the enemies coming down the screen, and then you probably complete the level after shooting so many. But there is a limit to them, so instead of what you actually have to do is collect rescue the pigs. So you're thinking, right, okay, so shoot the enemies and then try and go to the bottom of the screen and leave your rope to get the little piglet. But you just don't play it that way at all. You just shoot all the limited amount of enemies, and then you can go and rescue the piglet while avoiding missiles being dropped by the mothership. And it's really addictive, but it's not very hard, I thought. I mean, the arcade game, which we haven't played as of yet, I'm going to assume is probably a real quarter muncher, coin-hungry game. But this one doesn't really get much tougher, does it? So we could have probably played indefinitely, to be honest.
I mean, I made it to level 8 alone, which I thought was quite impressive. But what do you think, graphics-wise? I think probably out of the lot today, it might be the most impressive.
Yeah, I mean, again, serviceable again for the time and for the price point, as I always say. But it's not horrible to look at, It does its job. They're decent enough, Not great, not bad.
Audio's in the same boat, really. It's basic, but it gets the job.
Yeah, the audio said it's got another monotonous tune that runs through all these types of games, really. So we're at the point now where the audio of every one of these games would knock it down slightly, but it's just there, isn't it? We don't need it.
I mean, for me, it's a fun game. It's basic, very enjoyable, addictive. High score battle with friends, makes it fun. It feels sharp, it feels responsive, and I could play that quite happily for a good hour and then go back to it later as well.
Well, that's what I thought. I mean, if you can play a game like this and you can lose an hour before you realise that you're still playing it, then I think it's a good game. And again, price point always $1.99, unofficial conversion of what would have been a much more expensive arcade machine. I think it's a bloody good game yourself, like.
Yep, I'm off to play Puyan now, so I'm going to leave us with a 3 out of 5, Glenn.
I'm going to go with a 4 out of 5. It's not that I'm being over generous. I just think for what it is, it just hit the spotlight. Good game.
Darkstar, it's another basic concept here, Glenn. Similar to BMX races, where the screen will auto-scroll vertically, while you try to avoid colliding with walls. Enemies fly at you, they also shoot at you, which adds another element of danger. Every time you come to a path as well, you have to make a choice of whether you go left or right, and if you make the wrong choice, it's, bye-bye.
And there's no indicator to tell you which path you're meant to take at all.
There isn't. Yeah, earn points for shooting enemies, and also score increases as you progress, but it's a basic game, isn't it? But a little bit of fun here.
To be honest with you, when I played this game at first, I thought it was absolute rubbish, and I still don't think it's much better than rubbish, but it is because of the fact that you've got to map a route, which is absolutely unfair that you've got to do that in the first place. There's no indicators of which way to go. Usually there's 2 left and a right, and one will be blocked off every time. But I could see how someone could get addicted to this and want to map it out so you've got the progress, so eventually you can complete the whole game by following the correct route. And so that's good in itself, because that does encourage repeated playthrough. You only get 1 life and all, one life.
One life, yeah, insta kill.
And it's terrible. But I think what drops it down a bit for me is the factors that you have no control over, and that's the fact that the enemies are still pretty random, and sometimes the way they fly at you and the angles and that, there's no way you could avoid them. So, and because you only have that one life, you could maybe be 3/4 of the way through the game and just get killed by a random enemy. So
the enemies are so aggressive as well. They come at you so quickly and so randomly. It feels like an intergalactic road rage simulator, Glenn. But what do you think of the graphics? I mean, for me, I think Darkstar pushes the limit of what a human eye can tolerate in blandness.
I thought it wasn't that bad, really. Again, there was enough. Again, was it 84 this one?
I believe it was 84. Yes, it was 84.
Actually, I'm going to say that the graphics were actually fairly good for 84 and for a budget release. It looked like a space game.
Well, I think they should have a quote on the box that says, "With graphics so minimalist, you'll have to imagine the excitement."
Well, we did it. We imagined some of it, I think, but I thought mine, beyond the graphics, though, collision detection was a bit rough.
Yeah,
which really, again,
this sprite collision was so bad. I'm pretty sure the game just killed you for looking at an enemy sprite, never mind crashing into it.
It was the controls not the cleverest, and also combined with the poor collision detection and the fact that you've got pretty weaker controls, weaker than at least one of the other games we've got on the list anyway. And I thought, it's not a great game. Like there is an addictive quality there to complete it. But I think if you manage to complete this, it literally would be in the bin.
Yeah.
199 down the drain, never go play it again. Not a great game.
The music and the sound, again, as we've mentioned all the way through so far, is just very, very basic.
It's that same.
In fact, this game manages to regurgitate the same melody that's on one of the other games that we've got to come to, but it manages to make it somehow sound even worse.
Exactly the same one this time and all. It's not even sort of a remake of it, a remix. It's the exact same tune, just stolen from another one of the game creator games.
I think to me, it's one of those where perhaps the creator thought that if they play the same terrible music in each game, it might one day become like a classic. But sadly, that's not the case.
The sad thing is, though, it's an earworm for some reason. It just ticks over in your head. You cannot sleep when you've heard these tunes, so we've had to put up with this so you didn't.
The other thing, I mean, gameplay wise, I wanted to mention on this, the vertical scrolling, Glenn, it feels so jerky. It feels like you're literally streaming it in on an old dial-up modem.
Oh.
It's like, bit by bit by bit, it's horrendous.
No, it's an interesting idea doing what they're doing, but I think if they'd been able to put some sort of indicator system in place just so you got a bit more of an opportunity to see the dead ends, I would say maybe it's a bit better of the game. It's probably been deliberate, as I said, because they wanted to replay it, but we didn't have the patience. And
we've got about 7 movements in out of, I think there's only 13 or something in the whole game before you finish it, so we weren't far off.
Oh, maybe halfway, 2/3 of the way through. We might go one day, but I can't see he's doing it anytime soon. Like.
Having said all those negative things, I mean, the game isn't that terrible, and I can find a little fun in it. We did try to make it to the end, like I say, and we started even writing down the correct paths, didn't we? Yeah. But ultimately our patience just ran out before we made it that far. But I've played worse, Glenn. I have.
Definitely.
I think for me, again, a 2 out of 5.
Well, I'll match you with this one and also give it a 2 out of 5, as I say. Not the worst game I've played, and it does what it says and what it's meant to do, but it's just, it'd be frustrating. I think I'd get very frustrated if I was getting right near the end of the game and getting killed by random enemies. And if they'd just scripted the enemies as well, so they came in the exact same places, so at least you could just consider it a memory game, a lot of old shooters were, where you just memorise the attack patterns and the swarms and that, so maybe that would have been a better way to handle it. So 2 out of 5 for me as well.
Fair score. BMX Racers, Glenn. On paper, BMX Racers sounds like it could be a decent little game. In reality, it's pretty bad. But maybe not quite as bad as Bionic Granny. But don't expect this game to be pushing the genre either. I mean, I'm not even sure.
What is it?
Well, I'm not even sure you can call it a racing game, because the only race going on here is the race to see how quickly you realise that you just wasted your hard-earned money on this garbage.
All £2 of it.
Yes, exactly, but still hard-earned.
Yeah.
One thing, mind, that you can't fault on BMX Race is the photorealistic graphics. And what I mean by that is if you took a photo of a cabbage that has been squashed in a mechanical press, it would probably look similar. What about you?
It's not a beautiful game. It's not a beautiful game at all. It's got Dark Star syndrome in that you only have one life. It uses the same music.
Yes.
It's almost like a sprite swap of that game, or vice versa, whichever one came out first. There's less to do, but the control I thought was very good. I mean, the
Sharp.
control is sharp, which it needs to be, because there's too much.
You have
The
to be
margin for error when you're avoiding
yeah.
objects and that, like trees and rocks.
Clinical,
and
won't you, with those movements?
And it's another one of these Twitch games really, where you've got to just zero focus. One thing it doesn't have, which Darkstar had, was the multiple routes up in the first 3 levels or so.
And the fire button.
And the fire button, which isn't needed because it's not Paperboy. But by that extension, it makes the game way more simpler than Darkstar. So in some ways, I consider it worse. Darkstar for me had a reason to try and get progress, where this game we played a few levels and we pretty much done.
It was hard to look at. I mean, look at the bike. It looked like it was 4 pixels. I mean, the rider was barely a smudge.
At some point,
I know. To make matters worse as well, when he was riding forward, it looked like that smudge was having a fit.
Aye.
It was like the amount it was moving about. The music as well. You mentioned the music was the same as Darkstar.
Aye.
But it wasn't. It was a lot faster and a hell of a lot more intense, but it just made you panic, I think.
Well, it did and all, and many times, and there was a couple of times where you weren't too sure where to go, where it looks like there's a road curving off, and you're like, I'm about to go now, you drive over the verge, driving on the grass.
I mean, to be honest, mate, a calculator could have achieved the same sound effects that this game and most of the other games in this list have.
Sort of, it's like, in some ways, it's not as playable as stuff like Bionic Granny or Jungle Story, because we had a bit more fun with that,
Definitely Jungle Story, yeah. Bionic Granny, I think. This is probably as simple as Bionic Granny, I think, in a sense.
Yeah, because
maybe a tiny bit better.
There was no obstacles. Well, the obstacles were stationary, but there was no moving stuff and all, which would have made the game way harder. I mean, okay, we played, like I said, I think first 3 levels, but I couldn't, to be honest with you. What do you think? I can't see anything more really happening after that. Maybe different layout, but nothing. You're not going to have rival bikers, I think, or men
It would absolutely break my heart, Glenn, to think that we hadn't seen the full game.
Or in case like builders took bricks at you or something, and all like later on.
I doubt there's much more to really see, but if there is, let us know in the comments, and I'll check out a playthrough, or I'll try harder next time. But look, I mean, there's nothing much to do. There's no stunts, no tricks. They missed the trick literally with that.
I thought there could be more to it than that. Like, Code Monsters were good with that, and they had their budget.
Exactly.
What's the irony being that it might have been those who made this game?
Yes, the darlings. Yes. For me, Glenn, play BMX races only if you want to relive the worst 5 minutes of your childhood, or somehow you can prank a friend into thinking it's a lost classic of the 80s. It's not worth your time. I'm giving it a 1 out of 5.
Well, I originally wanted to give this a 2 because I did feel that it was decent enough, but it has less meat on the bones than Darkstar, and it was still not great fun, so I'm going to match you on that, mate, and give it a 1 as well now. I hate to rate a game terribly, but there's just not much there, and it wasn't great fun, so... Sorry, Mastertronic.
Well, Glenn, there was some absolute stingers on there. But, let's just break that down, right? So, Bionic Granny, okay. I mean, wow.
Wasn't that bad, though, really? Wasn't that bad?
Well, I gave it 1 out of 5, and so did you, I think, didn't you?
No, I gave Bionic Granny 2 out of 5.
You did what?
I give it a 2. There's a playable game. She's got charm. Come on, she's got charm. Bionic Granny, she's got super grand charm. Come on, we all loved that show back in the 80s, if anyone even knows what it is. Or is anyone even from the 70s and 80s here watching this? But anyway.
If they enjoyed Super Grand, probably not.
Well,
but, what was next? We had Jungle Story.
Well, we had Jungle Story, all right. Jungle Story is basically Bionic Granny 2, I think. It's slightly more advanced. I mean, yeah, it's basically like a wildlife murder simulator, I think. Well, as long as if you hate tigers, that is. Anything else is pretty much not fair game for some reason. I couldn't understand what was going on. The fact that, like, yeah, we're allowed to murder tigers, right? Now you're playing as the jungle, you're playing as like Mowgli, and he's actually called Mowgli, which is probably copyright infringement. And you're attacked by monkeys, you're attacked by elephants and snakes and arrows. Well, not including arrows because they're not arrows, because they're not living creatures. But those other three living beings, right? Which not the snakes maybe, but the elephants and the monkeys, I would have thought they'd be his friend. And to spend more time hoying coconuts at you or trying to trample you.
It's poo.
Or whatever it is. But why is it, Mark, that we're not allowed to hurt these creatures with our what we're finding
Pots of fire.
Pots of fire. Did he use them in the Jungle Book film? Because I don't think I've seen them.
I can't remember even watching the Jungle Book film, but I'm just going to assume he didn't.
But anyway, that was another game that was not the best. I thought at first it might have been a sort of twisted version of Pitfall, but it's just not really at all. It looked like it from a distance. But again, not great. I'd give that a 2 out of 5 as well, I think, if I remember right.
Pigs in Space so was a nice surprise. I enjoyed that game. That was fun. We had a good 30-40 minutes playing that one, didn't we?
It was good. I mean, its only flaw, and there has to be a flaw because it's still a cheap game and it's also an unofficial conversion. The problem with Pigs in Space is it's too easy, mate. I think it's too easy to go in.
It was a little bit easy.
Play forever. But it worked. It was responsive. It looked decent enough for what it was meant to be. Again, it cheats a bit because it's a conversion of an arcade game, so it's not unique. But I really enjoyed Pigs in Space. Again, for a $1.99 price point game, I would have been happy to have picked that up back in the day. Like
Darkstar,
Christ. Darkstar, what do I say about Darkstar? Now, I'd heard this was the very worst Mastertronic game that ever came out, and I can't agree with that. It's not a great game at all still, not even a good game, but it has a strange addictive quality to it because of the route system, the alternate route system, which doesn't have any sort of indication of which path you're meant to take at all. You've got to create your own map. Could actually create additional playthroughs. People will want to spend more time with this just to say they've finished it.
If you just bought that game at $1.99 and you were a kid and you had nothing else to play, you would finish that game because you would map it out.
I mean, they cheated by only giving you one life, like, which I think is a swizz, like, but that is what it is. And I think we've got BMX Racers to finish with, mate.
Don't get us started on that.
You had to get this one, didn't you? You had to get this one.
So, BMX Racers was just horrendous. Just avoid that one. That's all I've got to say about that.
I didn't have any fun. I mean, I know we played it a bit. We had a few laughs, but probably because we were playing against each other at the time, I couldn't really see myself sitting and enjoying that by myself because there's just it's tricky. So you're on the edge of your seat all the time, but there's nothing really there to give you any fun. It's simple and it looks like shit, So
it does definitely look like shit. Or as I put it, what was it? A crushed cabbage or something?
Which is probably worse. Imagine what a cabbage would look like after it come back out your hole.
Anyway,
we'll
hope you enjoyed the video. Let us know if you did, because we've actually got 5 more that we could do at a later date as well.
Better.
Some are better.
Because there's only one really game there, wasn't it? So.
Yeah. But let us know if you enjoyed it anyway, and we'll be back in a short while, hopefully with another 5 reviews for you. Thanks for your time, and see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Bye now.